Welcome, everyone. Country Crazy. Got a good show tonight. Very saddening about Miss Nancy Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie's mother, the news anchor's mother. Let's just get into it. Hope everybody's having a blessed night and everybody's safe. Welcome in. It's good to see everybody. But let's welcome Maddie and Seth up. They're regulars here. Hey, Seth. Hey, Maddie. How are we doing tonight?
Good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Welcome. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Um, I have a conspiracy theory to this, but we'll get to that here shortly. And it just kind of occurred to me of some things. Epstein files are coming out, and I believe this is going to play a role in her allegedly disappearance once I explain it to you in a certain fashion. But let's start and see what the news has said about Miss Nancy.
As I said yesterday, we saw some things at the home that were concerning to us. We believe now, after we processed that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene.
Now here is the crime scene. As you can see, blood droplets leading out. This is an 84-year-old woman who has disappeared. And just before we came on, the sheriff gave an interview, and it's very heartbreaking.
In terms of rescue versus recovery, I know you're still calling it a search and rescue. I also know your homicide detectives are part of this investigation. Do you believe you are still looking for Nancy Guthrie alive at this point, that she could be held somewhere? And if so, do you believe that is local in the Tucson area, or that she's been taken somewhere much further at this point?
We're just not going to give up hope. We hope she's out there somewhere.
So you still believe this is an active rescue mission at this point?
We hope so.
Are you actively DNA testing any items of evidence from the house now? And if you are, how quickly do you expect to get the results from that?
So we actually are, and we have our own DNA rapid testing here, and then of course we use a lab, but we've been told that the system here in Tucson is down, so we ran that up to Phoenix today. So hopefully here we'll know something from Phoenix that we can maybe get to our labs and get a rush order done from them. But even then, it's still a few days off. Nothing's fast enough, right? So.
Right. And even though the technology is a lot better than it used to be, it still takes some time. And then you have to build that DNA profile of the person too. So I get it.
You can tell he's very distraught. I just imagine my own mother, she's 76, and she was asleep in her bed. The family had last seen her Saturday night, 9:30, and she didn't go to church the next day. Her mental capacity is good. She doesn't have dementia or Alzheimer's, nothing of that nature.
That actually happened to my mother. She had dementia, and I did not know that she had dementia, and she took off in my dad's car, and she was gone for hours, and I had to network trying to find her, and then she just drove up.
Really?
Yeah, so it was very scary, and I can't I can imagine what she's going through, but I can't even imagine seeing the blood and the stuff that's going on. That's awful.
Well, what has happened and transpired? Now, this is getting kind of weird, and it's getting kind of TMZ. Okay, TMZ. Well, let me let him explain it. They received an email today, and this is what it said.
So we got something in our email that looks like it's written like a ransom note for Savannah Guthrie's mother.
Specific
and
requests
they're very
for certain amounts of money,
very specific.
Bitcoin.
And also they say at the bottom there are certain things they're saying about what she was wearing and damage to the house
that they're clearly saying to verify that
It's us.
we know what we're talking about here.
So we've contacted the sheriff's department, and we want to get them this letter. We had a little trouble getting through to the right person, but the person we spoke with is now forwarding this to somebody in the detective bureau. So if my phone rings, I may have to stop and.
What's interesting is, there was just a news conference that just ended with the sheriff, and he was asked about, and we're going to do this segment in a few minutes, but he was asked about a ransom note, and he just said, we're following all leads.
Yeah, and this it's again, we don't know.
We don't know if
it's
this is legit, right.
if it's authentic or not. But they're when you read it, they're acting as if, yeah, only we would know these things,
right.
and we're serious. And there's a dollar demand and an or else in there. Mm-hmm. So we will let you know as this thing kind of develops.
So TMZ receives an email, and it has ransom demands and things of that nature. But news is coming out that she has a pacemaker. So that means she's on life-threatening, she has to take medication. I just get chills thinking about this. My mom's 76 years old. And they're saying that the pacemaker disconnected from the Apple Watch device, that it was synchronized too. One person, Jennifer Coffindaffer off of X, says, my belief is that the distance became too great for the synchronizing, leading me to believe this was close to the time Nancy was taking from her house, because it's like she's just, vanished. And her daughter, Savannah, is a news anchor for NBC. She has been there for many years, and actually Nancy has been on the show multiple times. Very sweet lady. The thing that I was talking about and started putting together at this moment, now this is just allegedly, this is just my thoughts. It doesn't mean it's fact or anything, but you got to step outside of the whole realm of every bit of it. And you got to think, okay, what is going on in our world today? We have a woman who is a huge news broadcaster. Okay. And she has probably done and interviewed thousands. Okay. Now the Epstein's files just came out as well. And, here is my thought process in these coincidences. There's no such thing as coincidences. Okay. Well, Samantha Guthrie, this comes from Mia off X. I like to take a bunch of you guys' comments off X, and I like to talk about them because you guys are pretty smart, and you can put 1 or 2, 10 or 15 different comments or things together, and that's how you work together, and you try to figure things out. Samantha Guthrie's husband, Michael Fieldman, he's the founder of the DC-based Glover Park Group, a Bill Clinton, Al Gore Democrat political fish tank. Named in the Epstein files, has seen its websites go dark and have been scrubbed. So where is Nancy? Okay, now I'm not saying that this is actually the parts. I'm saying I'm talking and thinking outside the box. Okay, because if we go a step further. If you look here, insane timing. Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mom abducted from her bed in Tuscany. Hits exactly as Epstein file dumps millions of Clinton-era pages. And he is all in with the Democrat Party. Now let's go a step further with Savannah. She has interviewed countless people, but one thing that she did, it was a sold-out evening, February 5th, 2025, at 4 p.m., with Bill Gates in conversations with Savannah Guthrie. Things like this, she knows too much. You're talking about two individuals that are very powerful, okay? Know a lot. This just doesn't make any sense, okay? And now they're out. Drips of blood outside Nancy's home. a pacemaker lost synchronized at 2 a.m. Cell phone and car was left. Purse, wallet reported left as well, although they have not heard police confirm that, which I know police are probably keeping some of this information tight-lipped, which is very good. But other information is coming out that her house, they looked up the address, real estate listing. This is coming from God Bless America off X. Has a darkroom storage listed. Now, this is just their thought process. Curious as to whether there's going to be a cartel tunnel door too, because see, the cartel dig these tunnels. There's many ranches that have ranchers have come out and even stated that all of a sudden there's these tunnels that are being dug. I don't know if this is true or not, but from the real estate that I'm seeing of a number of fireplaces, there's 2, the flooring and carpet, Mexican tile. I mean, it's all legit, but there's also saying that there is a dark room storage listed. So I don't know. That's an idea that could be thought about, or something of that nature. It's very sad. But the police have put out a QR code. If you go to their website, we are aware of reports circulating about possible ransom notes regarding the investigation into Nancy Guthrie. We are taking all tips and leads very serious. Anything that comes in goes directly to our detectives who are coordinating with the FBI. We encourage anyone who may have any information or tips to share them. Go and scan the QR code there as well. I don't know if this is going to have, I don't like speaking things because words are powerful. And you can speak things into existence. So I try to keep it, keep it where it should be, where we hope it will be. I just don't know because, you're talking about 2 powerful people, very powerful people that know a lot. Maddie, what are your thoughts on this? Now I've kind of caught you up with some stuff and, yes, it's a conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory that her husband, Michael Fieldman, was involved with the Democrats, Clintons, Al Gore, and many of them. And his company was actually named in the Epstein files, allegedly. So you go ahead.
I was just thinking that this morning, that possible cartel, because that's like a really bad area for that. And so that's kind of crazy that you think the same way. That's exactly what I thought this morning.
It's just, of all people, of all people. What do you think, Seth? What's your thoughts on this now that you're caught up with it?
It's hard for me to give an opinion on this because I know so little about it. But I know Arizona, like Maddie said, has had a lot of problems, especially in that area from cartels and drug traffickers and gang members. So maybe that's what it is. It wouldn't be unheard of for them to kidnap random people, especially elderly people who can't really fight back. That's more what I would probably lean towards, but I can't really give a more in-depth opinion where I've not looked into more
Fair
about
enough.
what's going on with her.
Fair enough.
If you think about it, they've probably been watching for quite some time.
Absolutely.
And notice that she's been by herself and she's got
Absolutely.
nobody with her. And she's vulnerable for anything.
Yeah, and being on medications daily, she's very well known. And they had staff there. Now, I don't know how the dynamics happened of that particular aspect of it, but she did not return. Let me see if I can find some information on that. Well, we'll like this video here. Welcome everyone from X. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. If you wouldn't mind, tap please and follow as well. But Here with this video again, Brian Enton from News Nation captured footage of blood droplets outside the front door of Nancy's residence. The pattern resembles what might come from a nosebleed or a hand wound. It appears she lingered briefly at the doorway, as indicated by the concentration of the drops. One scenario could be she was already bleeding upon being dropped off that evening and stopped to unlock the door, accounting for the denser clustering in the spots. Alternatively, if the injury occurred as she was departing, the close spacing of the droplets could imply that she proceeded on foot and at a slow pace. That's from Ang off X. It's good points. I mean, I don't know a lot about forensics. I did go to school for criminal justice, and I just started learning bits and pieces of that, which is interesting, to say the least. But to have, all of this going on, and then her pacemaker, as well. You have to bear with me. I just started being able to. Here is what a neighbor had stated, and I read people's comments because you will find people that say that they live down the street, whether it's true or not. I don't think they do it because they know too much information. They'll say that they're neighbors. You will see a lot when you go deeper in other people's comments because people will come out, and sometimes things are solved by doing that. So every bit of information helps in what you can put together. This comes from a lady. It says, my 93-year-old dad lives in the same area. 8 nights ago, at about 10 p.m., the back porch motion light went on. There was a Hispanic man snooping around, and he tried to get into the sliding glass doors. And my dad yelled, and he swore at him to get away, and the man ran off. The sheriff came and secured the house and told me to get a gun, if I had a gun, to get the gun and have it ready. So we did. I think there might be another man who was this man, and there's a glare on it, that was looking for an easy way in. The scary thing is that lights and TV were on. This man knew there was someone in the house, and I think my dad was targeted because of his age. My dad wears an emergency button 100% of the time, praying they find her. Now, this one you can look on X. You guys bear with me. Don't laugh at me. I don't want to put my bifocals on because it's harder to read, but I might have to find out who said this. I don't know. Can't read it. I'll get it for you, though. I can't read it. But that is coming from a neighbor, someone. She said that they live in the same area. So something similar happened to this person. Let me get my glasses out because this might be important. I think it's already been posted on X. But for this to be going on, I still can't read, y'all. I'm blind as a bat. That's the key. People in the neighborhood, if you saw something, anything, and you're within probably, let's give or take, well, how many miles would you say, Maddie? Maybe 10-mile radius, 15-mile radius, even further out. Let's go 20 miles. Okay, we'll go 15, 20 miles.
I would go 20, 25 miles out.
Because this area is where you hike as well. And
Yes.
The thing that gets me is the terrain. So whoever it was, they knew what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing. And if other things happened, did anybody else go missing in the area? Is anyone else's elderly family going missing? Is this a high-class area, living neighborhood with her mom, with her daughter Savannah being who she is, and son-in-law being who he is? Is this a very elite area? I'm curious. Apparently it wasn't gated, of course, so I don't know. I
wonder if they could use a drone to see if
They
this
did.
pickup. They did.
They had drones, they had helicopters, they had everything out there. FBI took over. I mean, a lot of people have been upset saying, well, why is this case getting so much coverage and, a normal average person? Well, we're talking about an elderly woman, okay? Two things, children and elderly.
Right.
Those are two factors that are hands off or to be left alone and to be protected.
That's
So I'm thankful because elderly people are just like children. That's the way we are. When we get older, we revert back to children, not mentally or just physically. We're old and we can't do the shit that we used to do. It's that simple. So I'm thankful they did get quickly. But they're saying that her pacemaker disconnected at 2 a.m. The last time she was seen was at 9:30 p.m. And then some stuff. So if anybody has had anything happen to them in this vicinity, anyone broke up, the least little thing could be very helpful, truthfully. The least little thing. Check your ring cameras. Check anything. If you happen to have been standing outside and you heard something or you saw a vehicle and had the headlights off, could mean much. Could mean so much. Hopefully we'll have a positive ending to this. But as time continues to go on,
I wonder, they're talking about a ransom note.
Mhm.
What are they wanting?
They haven't got into that yet. Now, I've just kind of threw a bunch of this together. I haven't seen a ransom note yet, but we can look and see if anything has come up since I've been on here. But it's an email. And why are you gonna send it to TMZ? Okay. You're gonna send it to TMZ. Let's think about that.
Now, how do you have those kind of connections, though?
Well, I mean, with TMZ, you can actually send out information. Like if I have a story or something I want, it's just like with Charlie Kirk. I used to email him ideas all the time and comment on, conversations and stuff like that. So all news outlets, and we're talking about TMZ, well, they know that they could get it out quick. But
Yeah,
is this a fact? Yeah. Go ahead.
TMZ is very easy to get information to. They always have been, because they won't turn down anything they believe could be a potential news story for them. I mean, I could cite you the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case. They were receiving anonymous information through that, which was later used in the case because they were almost positive it came from her in the trial. So that they'll use anything like that they get, right, especially if they believe it's from a credible source.
And that's what I was wondering, because they're saying, is this a credible source? Is this just an opportunist? But the key thing was, let's listen one more time to what he had to say.
So we got something in our email that looks like a ransom. It's written like a ransom note for Savannah Guthrie's mother.
Specific request
and they're very
for certain amounts of money,
very specific.
Bitcoin.
And also they say at the bottom there are certain things they're saying about what she was wearing and damage to the house.
That they're clearly saying to verify that
it's us.
We know what we're talking about here.
So we've contacted the Sheriff's Department, and we want to get them this letter. We had a little trouble getting through to the right person, but the person we spoke with is now forwarding this to somebody in the Detective Bureau. So if my phone rings, I may have to stop and...
What's interesting is, there was just a news conference that just ended with the sheriff, and he was asked about, and we're going to do this segment in a few minutes, but he was asked about a ransom note, and he just said, we're following all leads.
Yeah, and this again, we don't know
if this is legit, right.
if it's authentic or not, but they're when you read it, they're acting as if, yeah, only we would know these things, right, and we're serious, and there's a dollar demand and an or else in there. Mm-hmm. So we will let you know as this thing kind of develops.
So they're receiving this email with this information in it that only the abductors would know how the house, the mannerism of the house, and I'm sure they specifically stated, like he said, these things. I don't know. This case truly, it's really bothered me. This case is really bothered me. Anytime it has to do with children, anytime it has to do with elderly, I mean, I would put my life on the line, to take care of them, which I've done in the past in my previous professions. And it's sad because, I don't know, is she still alive? I mean, she didn't take none of her medications. She didn't have a chance to get anything. So this was quick. And I think somebody out there has probably got something on a Ring camera or something, and they just don't know it. And a lot of times, that's how a lot of these situations get solved now. If we're dealing with cartel, okay? And it's interesting that they threw that out there automatically in the beginning when this initially happened. It was put out there, which Arizona, and I believe she's 50 to 60 miles from the border, is my understanding. Don't quote me on that, but I had spoken to somebody who actually used to live in the area, and they said they're about 50 to 60 miles from the border. So first, how'd they get in? Was the door locked? She's in bed at 9:30. You're going to have everything locked up tight, right? And that's why I was saying something about a tunnel. Is it possible there was a tunnel because that individual had actually done a look up and found out that it was a dark room storage listed. That's what the real estate, and I don't know what that is. If anybody knows what that is, comment it, because I have no idea what a dark room storage listed is. Is it?
That's like your a cedar cellar for your canned foods, I guess. That's what I imagine.
So it would be in the basement type situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the main thing, you got to look at all aspects. Whenever something like this happens, everyone's a suspect. Everyone. Your daughters, your son-in-laws, your friends, I don't care who it is, your grandkids, everyone is a suspect at that point. When they have really, nothing to go on, because you don't want to deflect that and put all your eggs in one basket over here while it could be going on over here.
Well, what I think is interesting is the fact that they said that she wasn't able to walk very well by herself.
About 50 feet is what they said.
Would her person that dropped her off not walk her to the door?
Well, that's the question. But see, they're not going to talk about it. I mean, and that's how we would know about the droplets of blood. Did she cut herself at the time when she got dropped off? I mean, I'm sure these are questions they're probably asked the individual, but they're not going to divulge this information because they need this when time comes, if they can apprehend the suspects. They don't need to tell you.
If it's my mom, I'm taking my mom inside, and I'd probably stay with her because I'm not ever going to leave my mom alone.
I don't know if it was a caretaker, because she did have a staff. I don't know if it was a staff member that did it or if it was a family member that dropped her off. But they did not realize, last time they saw her was 9:30 that Saturday night, and they did not realize that she was gone until church. She didn't show up for church that Sunday. So you got a good, and at 2 a.m. the pacemaker had disconnected. So...
Well, the pacemaker, if it disconnected, it could stop.
Well, yes, it could. And I mean, this is a scare, this physically and emotionally, your heart, everything, and she's 84. Bless her heart. She's 84. But, I would be truthfully, I mean, when you deal with people that are big dogs like this, like we've got her son-in-law there, he's Michael Fidman. He's the founder of the DC-based Glover Park Group. It was a Bill Clinton, Al Gore Democratic political fish tank named in the Epstein files and has seen its websites go dark.
That's
Well,
interesting.
I would think, and this is just my thoughts on anything that involved Bill Clinton at the time, especially with the fact that him and Hillary have both agreed now to testify because they realize that we're about to both get locked up over it.
Right.
I do think we're going to start seeing a lot of weird things on the groups that were involved with him around this time probably go weirdly quiet or start deleting things off their websites or start hiding records or whatever. I'm not saying that Bill Clinton's guilty of anything, just like I'm not saying any of them are guilty. They're all innocent until proven guilty. But the reality of it is, I mean, the fact that they fought so hard not to testify is not a good look. And I think there's going to be a lot of weird stuff going on. I know from what I understand now, that this is not set in stone for them to even testify, that they're wanting to make a whole bunch of demands and make a whole bunch of special requirements. And from what I understand, the House is now wanting to do this in broad view of the public during a live committee hearing.
Should be, because they wanted to do it behind closed doors. They wanted to go, the Clintons wanted to tuck ass and run and go behind closed doors, which I think is not right. We need accountability. We need full transparency. Full transparency.
And I think that's something they're not going to allow. There's no way this will be done behind closed doors, because after the months of people accusing everybody of hiding things, that there's no way this will not be public. At least the deposition itself will more than likely go public. I do think now that this is where it gets interesting, because people also aren't considering this. And again, I cannot stress enough, I've done a deep dive into the Epstein files that were released earlier. Okay. I have not found anything that, implicates President Trump in a crime. I've not found a single news source that's had their hands on these since they were released that says that they have found anything that implicates him in a crime. There are summaries about President Trump that basically stating that people had made anonymous tips to the FBI, to the CIA, and the Department of Justice, claiming he had done things, and that the Biden DOJ found that there was no evidence to it, or it was not credible, or there was something off with these accusations that just did not warrant charges, or they just lacked evidence to even bring a charge against him. So I'm not saying that President Trump is guilty when I say this. I don't believe he's guilty of anything. But the thing of it is now, once he's out of office, if this is still going on, I would be willing to bet money he is probably going to be called to testify to Congress if this is still going on in 4 years.
Well, I mean, and he was the only one who turned that sack of shit in, that evil piece of shit in. He was the only one. You've got a line of elites, everybody, congressmen, senators, so many, and more. There was just a drop done right before we started on the show, and we'll have to deep dive on it. Now, you do have to be careful. There are a lot of AI things going on out there. So make sure what you're putting out there is legit. And also read on it, because it will say we cannot verify this, or there's no source to this. Because just because you see something and you see it and you want to put it out there, make sure it's factual. For the simple fact, and if you don't know, say, I don't know, allegedly, you can make your own assumption to this, and things. But
well,
Benny
my
Johnson,
opinion on that is, if they had something on him, it would have already been out.
Oh, yes. Since we're on this subject, Benny Johnson had interviewed Rudy Giuliani, and Rudy had a few things to say about it.
I can tell you beyond any doubt that there is no connection between Donald Trump and the criminal part of Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, there's very little connection except when they were very young. And the story of how he threw him out is actually even tougher than he remembers it. I mean, he basically did it. Two of the women from the massage place at Mar-a-Lago came to him. Now, this is way back in 06, 07. And one of them was afraid to come to him because Epstein had been bothering her. So she went to the person in charge, and the person in charge said, well, you have no idea what Mr. Trump is like. And the lady was frightened. And they go up, and she tells him, Mr. Epstein is being inappropriate with me. He said, what? And he looks at the older woman. He says, is it really bad? And she said, yeah, it's really bad. It's not sex, but it's really bad, touching and stuff. He said, okay, let me show you what I'm going to do. Calls up Epstein, doesn't get him on the phone. He leaves a message. He said, this is Donald Trump. And probably calls him by his last name. Epstein, come by the golf course later today. All your stuff is there. And don't you ever show your face at the golf course of Mar-a-Lago again. Boom, hangs up. Then he calls up his director of security, puts him on the phone and says, this guy's out. Collect all his stuff. I don't think we have any lockers at Mar-a-Lago. If he does, get rid of everything he's got. But go over to the golf course. He has a locker there. Take everything, put it in it, make it nice so he can't complain. Give him everything. If there's any doubt, give it to him. Then put his picture up and don't let him in ever again. Ever. That's the last time he really ever thought about Epstein until this came up.
And that is what we have heard, and it's been consistent. The story has never wavered. The truth stands alone. It doesn't sway. The truth stands alone. And it's the same situation. And, you know, I'll look at the Epstein files like this. Okay, we've known that we've wanted them out for, 20 years now, okay, or more. And now they're coming out. It's kind of like the Democrats, you know, you can throw them a bone and they are going to run after it like a dog in heat. They're going to chase it. They're going to grab it. So their mindset is stuck on these Epstein files, regardless of what's truth or anything. They're not going to stick to the facts. They're going to just throw propaganda and they're push their narrative out there. And it's going to be untrue. If I thought for 1 minute that my lovely and beautiful President Donald J. Trump had anything to do with that, first off, I've been in this game for a pretty good long time. I've read much on Epstein and I know so much of what these evil people have done. They would have already took him. They tried. Look what they did. They threw everything at him before he even got in office. Everything. Right. Every single thing. And nothing stuck. I would already have known this situation. And Trump did the right thing. When he found out, he's like, hell no. Get out. Get out. Well, and there's proof to all this.
And I saw earlier, I was in a couple of debate panels earlier, and one woman had stated, you know, there's pictures of Trump doing all this terrible shit to women and to these girls and everything. I said, so first off, I said, that, you know how I know that's fake? Because if that were real and it had been released, for one, Congress is very quick to get their hands on stuff like that. They would have had it within a couple hours. Republicans would already be moving to remove him from office because this close, for one, they would never put up with that anyways. I know quite a few members of the Congress that I've gotten to meet personally over the years, and some of them only briefly, and then one or two of them I actually have a somewhat of a friendship with, and with their children, who, you know, one of whom's a state senator here who I absolutely adore. He's fantastic. But all of them are very anti-pedophiles. They despise pedophiles, and a lot of them have actually pushed for the death penalty for pedophiles and rapists in not just Tennessee, but places like Wyoming, West Virginia, North and South Carolina, a lot of places. They would already be moving to remove him from office because there is no way, for one, that they would tolerate having someone who was doing that in the White House, and there is no chance they would allow him to stay in there this close to a midterm, knowing that that was information that was about to get out and knowing that that was true, because that would damage us so badly that it would destroy us in the election. There is no way, for a multitude of reasons, they would allow him to stay in if that was actually true and it was verified. And I have seen nothing in the deep dive that I did today of any images like that that implicate him.
Well, I saw a Polaroid right before I started the show. That it's on X, it's streaming everywhere on Threads, and it was just an old Polaroid, and it had Trump standing next to Epstein, and he's the only one in like a suit, and all these little girls are around. Honestly, it looks to me like it was AI. It truly does. It looks to me like it was AI, and that's what I'm saying. With AI, it can help you, but it can hurt you. You know what I'm saying? It can do some damage.
He was like head of the pageantry, so it wouldn't be unlike him to have a bunch of females around him.
Well, this was a picture Polaroid in a bedroom, and it just didn't look real. I'm sorry, it just didn't look real. And I don't show these things because, first off, there's children in it, and I'm not ever going to show a child's face. I don't care if they're an adult today. They deserve that respect of not having it pushed out there. I agree with what Elon Musk said. He said, because people were trying to say that, there was an email connection with him and Epstein. He said, no, that's false. And he said, I'll tell you right now, I've never been in any of his videos, not one of the crazy videos. He said, I'll tell you right now, redact and cover up all the victims to where they can't be noticed. And he said, release the videos, but make sure the victims would be protected. And there you have it. You'll expose every single one of these evil doers. Every single one.
I don't believe Elon would ever have anything to do with that. He's not. No. I don't get that impression.
Well, I mean, they're going to attack. You know what I'm saying? They're going to go on the attack. I'm just curious, is they saving the best for last? Because if you think about it, it's all Democrats in there. I mean, and you've got Hillary and Bill Clinton. We're going to probably see them when they do come to testify in front of the committee. They're going to play like Ray did, like the FBI did, like every single Democrat in the past has done. I'm not going to answer that because it can incriminate me. You're not going to get any answers from them. You're not. They're prepared. They can get, I just don't see it.
The way I view it is what one thing is here, I am going to hold the same standard to Bill and Hillary, even though those are two people who I really despise, especially her. I'm going to hold the same standard that I do to Trump, which is they are innocent until they're proven guilty. And here's the thing, this going to testify against them, and I heard someone saying, oh, well, why should they have to if no one else has to?
Oh, come on, Seth, the WikiLeaks emails. Come on. Well, innocent until proven guilty. This is the one time. Yes, you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to innocent. Screw that shit. There's too much evidence out there. But
that's
we'll go
my
with
opinion.
Okay.
That's just my opinion, because I'm not going to, condemn anybody to be guilty until they're condemned in a court of law for doing it. And I don't like doing that because I've been proven wrong plenty of times in the past on that. My problem here is, though, people who are saying, oh, well, why do they have to testify and no one else does?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, my chihuahua's barking.
Well, for one, it's not, this them being required to testify, for one, is not Congress saying, you're guilty of anything or we think you're guilty. They're saying, we want you to come in and tell us everything you know about him, all the conversations you had with him over the years, what you talked about when he came to the White House, this, that, and the other. It doesn't mean that they're saying that the Clintons are even guilty. Yeah, it doesn't mean that they're saying... Yeah, it doesn't mean that they're saying they're guilty. It means they're saying, come tell us what you talked about, what you told him, what your connection was with him. Where did you go with him? Was there any, kids around? And basically, it's just they're wanting a rundown of everything that they know. And they're the ones acting like, oh, if we go in and tell you anything, we're automatically going to the chair. No, that tells me you've got something to hide if you have this big of a problem with it. Like if I was accused of this, I would want to go to Congress and be like, yeah, I'll tell you everything because I did nothing wrong.
Right.
Agreed.
I'd clear my name.
What's your thought on it, Maddie?
Yeah, I agree, because to me, if you're going to accuse me of something, then you better have proof. because if you
Right.
don't,
Yeah,
and you have defamation on me, so there you go.
yeah, and again, personally, do I believe that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton are guilty of terrible, terrible shit? Yes, but and I don't want anybody thinking that I'm, not saying that they are. It's just they're entitled to the same, however unlikely it is, a reasonable doubt that they're innocent until they're proven guilty. And that's just my outlook on it, because I'm not going to do what most Democrats do and automatically jump to the conclusion of, oh, you're guilty before you're proven guilty, because they did that shit with Trump and it made them look really stupid.
Well, I want to
I'm just
know.
not going to do that.
I want to know with Bill Clinton. I want to know, Hillary, did you ever go to the island? Did you ever go to the island? I mean, we may not have no videos yet or pictures of you yet on the island. Little St. James, all that. But how many times did old Clinton go? Boy, he was a regular. Yeah. He was a freaking flyer. He racked up some points on there. He sure did.
Yeah, and the sad part of this is people saying, oh, well, they're being unfairly targeted. No, they will not be the only ones that Congress says, hey, you are going to come and testify here and tell us what what your contact with him was, what your relationship with him was, any business ventures you had with him. They're not going to be the only ones. They're the first ones, because he is a former president and she is the former first lady.
Right. They're going to say they're protected, whatever. They're not going to tell you. I'm telling you, they're just not going to tell anything. They're going to show up because they were subpoenaed, and that's all you're required to do. And you don't have to. And she can't testify against him because they're married. So this is going to be a circus. It's just going to be a shit show. That's what we're going to see. We're going to see an utter shit show. Taxpayer dollars being sucked down the drain. Because we're the pansies. We're the pansies. The American people are the pansies. We're just okay. Steal billions of dollars from me. Keep taking billions of dollars from us. We're good with it. We're good with it. We'll go out here and work our ass to the bone while you keep taking money from us. We're okay with it. But we got some breaking news. Go ahead.
But what
I think the key thing for this is with the Clintons and everything. No matter how this goes, no matter how this deposition or this testimony goes, if they don't answer, and unless it is something they are not 1,000% certain of, they have no reason not to answer. And I think that is going to be more telling than everything.
Come on, Sad.
No matter what
they're not going to tell the truth either way.
Well, they have video.
Well, no, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, whether they answer it or not, unless there is something that they don't know the God's honest truth to, if they don't answer it, it's going to make them look guilty either way.
I think
guilty. They've already considered that, and I think that's one reason why they're all of a sudden wanting to go do this now, is so they can either sit there and say, oh yeah, no, I'm not answering that, or oh yeah, no, I'm just going to completely lie my ass off about this.
Look, they've already got some kind of deal shit. They've already got the pre-questions. They've already got all that. I guarantee you, they've already got all that. To think for 1 minute, that would be so naive. They already know what's going to be asked, and they probably got a few little questions in there they'll answer and give a dog a bone. The American people want to know. We want to know, but they're going to give us just a little bit. They're going to give us just a little bit of something and think that's going to be satisfactory, but it's not. But we got breaking news right now. The defense in Charlie Kirk's assassination case reveals that the gun and the screwdriver DNA evidence is a mixture from 5 different individuals.
What?
They're saying the DNA evidence on the gun and the screwdriver is a mixture from 5 different individuals.
Wow.
So, to state that Tyler Robinson was the only culprit, murderer, this, for his defense, this just helped his defense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that right there on its own is enough to keep him off of any charge, because if it's a mixture of DNA, they can't prove it's him.
Correct. Now, if his DNA is on it, yes. Well, but if his DNA isn't on it, I mean, how's that going to go? I mean,
Well,
I'm not going to pull a Candace Owens. I'm not going to be the psycho. You know, I'm not going to do that.
The sad part of this is even if his DNA is on it, if there's 4 other people's DNA on there, they're just going to say it's circumstantial. That he's
Correct.
just one of many people who have handled this gun, and they're going to be like, you can't pin it on him because there's other people's DNA here, and
Right.
they're going to be forced to let him off with this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and it's sad. I mean, it's 5 different individuals. We knew something like this was going to come. I could get into this. I could do a whole show on this shit. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Man, they're saying Mitch McConnell is expected to live after being hospitalized with flu-like symptoms.
Dang.
That poor
thing. I know, poor thing. I mean, you gotta say, you know, he's an elderly. My heart goes out to him. He may be not a good person, but I don't wish any harm on anybody. You know, he's not a good person at all.
One of the pictures that came out,
No,
he was linked to Epstein.
Trump says that the country needs to move on from Epstein, claiming the situation was a conspiracy against him. I agree with that. But the Democrats are going to stick to it. You know what I'm saying? They're going to stick to it because they're going to dig and think they'll find something. And you got to think, okay, this is something I thought of. You got to listen to when they speak, when they said Epstein estate and Epstein files to the DOJ. The stuff that came through the Epstein estate came through the estate, wasn't filtered through the DOJ and corroborated as being factual. You see what I'm saying? So you got to think the Biden administration allegedly had 4+ years. Well, they've had longer, but let's just say the Biden administration, they had their hands on this. Okay. Now, you know, Kamala Tawala, you know, she said the reason why they never asked for these files to be released is because she didn't want to overstep and let the DOJ do their job.
Whatever.
Yeah, we know. It's just like a little dog, woof, woof, you know, just she's horrible.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just worried about Miss Nancy. I really am. I'm worried about Miss Nancy.
I think the more, to be honest, I know there is around 3 million more documents that they have not released. And I do think at this point unless it's showing, you know, graphic things that no one wants to see or, you know, it directly threatens victims, I do think at this point they may as well just release it all. But at the same time, I don't really care because they've released about as much as what I figured they would to begin with. I don't care. There's more that I think Republicans should be focusing on before the midterms happen. You know, we need to be talking about what we got done in the big, beautiful bill, you know, with the tax cuts, with the protections for certain wildlife, for, you know, things like that, for economic relief, all sorts of stuff. And the reality of it is we have spent way too much time on this. We need to talk about the fact that we've had great wins on foreign policy and on trade and all of this other stuff. And while I do agree that eventually, as a matter of fact, it would not hurt to release more of these files, that's not the only thing at least we should be focusing on. If we still want to put a little bit of focus into that, that's fine, but that should not be the only thing we're focusing on when we are only like 7 or 8 months out from November. That is not going to help us.
I agree. I mean, midterms, we got to get our head in the game. I mean, midterms I mean, we're at 214, 218. We don't have much of a lead there.
No. And the House is going to be, in all honesty, and I hate saying this, but if I bet money right now, I would bet that we lose the House because of our slim majority. We have not spent the time focusing on things that we should have been focusing on to begin with. We have not been talking about the things that we should have been talking about. You know, we've not seen congressional Republicans going out here going, okay, this is what we've gotten done. This is what we're doing now. This is what we're going to be doing in the future. This is what I've personally delivered for you all. This is what I'm currently doing. And we've not seen that. And the reality of it is the person in the White House party typically takes the largest hit in the midterms. I don't think we lose the Senate. We might lose a seat, but we will still control the Senate. But the reality of it is, if we don't win the House, people are saying, oh, they're going to impeach Trump. That's not what everyone should be worried about, because it's not going to make it through the Senate. What's going to happen is he's not going to be able to get anything done that he wants, because he is going to have to make major concessions because he no longer controls the purse strings with the Republican Party. So again, that's what everyone should be worried about. If you want him delivering on what he promised, then you need to get out and vote in November, and get out and vote early as well, or don't complain when he gets nothing done that he's wanting to, or he has to make major concessions you're not going to like to get things done.
Well, how do you combat that when everything's rigged? And you go.
Well, we're gonna find out about 2020 election. Hopefully, when the truth comes out with that, first off, voter rolls need to be completely cleansed.
Yeah, purged. Completely.
I know here in Tennessee, they had already started doing that about a year and a half. Well, before the 2024 election, they had already started doing that. I mean, I even had to prove I was a U.S. citizen. With insurance, you had to turn your insurance in. And when I did that, I had to show ID of everything, my birth certificate, that I was a natural born citizen. I had to show I was from here, and I didn't have a problem doing that. I didn't have a problem doing that. As all these other people out here are having issues doing. They don't want to. But our tax dollars are getting yanked. We are getting raked over the coals. People in Minnesota, they living it up, getting all this money, all the elites and everything. But let's watch this video. Baltimore City Mayor Brandon Scott. He blows $165,000 of taxpayer money on a luxury SUV.
Wow.
The most expensive vehicle any Maryland official has, and double what the governor spends. Now, this is what a reporter asked him, and this was his response.
That this vehicle is still $55,000 less than before. So, again, I want to ask you the same question.
Okay, Tessa, we'll just stop you right there. We get it. We understand that your station has this severe right-wing effort underway. We get that. But you also, you guys are dragging this thing out and also not including all the facts. A vehicle that was purchased in 2023 is not the same price as 2025, right? You have to understand that reality. When you look at, I'm talking, you can listen to, let me talk, please. We heard your question. You've asked the same idiotic question now for 3 months. We understand that when you look at a base price for SUVs, base price of SUVs now are, as you know, between $90,000 and $100,000. You're talking about a police vehicle with police equipment on it added on top of that vehicle. It's very simple. And when you look at, these are not astronomical costs, right? You guys, and your station in particular, would never ask the President of the United States how much the beast costs. You wouldn't do that. You would never do that. This is ridiculous. Let it go.
Hey, Brandon Scott, holy shit. You're not the president, okay? Let's get back down here on Earth and get out of the clouds.
Question the president. What are you talking about? They question him all the time about how much
all the time about everything.
That cost and this cost and that cost. How much he's charging for the new ballroom that he's building. He's paying it out of his own pocket.
Exactly, and they have an issue with that. But Brandon Scott, you just got $165,000 from the taxpayers, probably more. Like these congressmen and senators, they go in they had maybe, I don't know, let's just say maybe they had regular people like us, we broke. Let's say they go in and they probably got a little bit in there. They come out within 1 year, they've got $10 million in there. Don't tell me they are not lining their pockets. Don't freaking tell me they are not doing that, because they are getting rich off the American people. And it has to stop. Accountability needs to take place. There's no arrest. Everybody's like, well, there's stuff going on behind the scenes. I believe there is stuff. But you get a few Somalians arrested here or there. I want the big freaking dogs arrested.
People and losing their seats over it. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah. Every single one.
It's and this is where Republicans really have to be more careful than Democrats on this one, because Republicans have to go out here more than Democrats do and make the case in November that, we are doing everything we can with what we've got. We are going to do as much as we can. We are going to try and give everyone what they want here, while delivering on the promises that we made in the 2024 election. That should be what we are really focusing on, and making clear to people, because Democrats are not going to do that. Democrats are going to go on and say, oh, look look at what these terrible Republicans are doing. They're not, doing what they promised. Costs are up even though they're not, or your taxes aren't going down even though they are. They're just going to make up a whole bunch of shit that we're going to have to defend against, whereas we have to come out and be like, yeah, we have done all of this and we can show you that we've done all this. So I think that's where we're at right now, and Republicans really need to latch on to that, or else we are going to get our asses whooped in November.
Well,
I know, and it's a scary thought.
Why does he think that he is above this person asking where their taxpayer dollars are being spent? They have a right to know. They work for us. We don't work for them. And they seem to think that it's the other way around.
Well, Brandon Scott seems to think, since he's in office, that he can just do it. I mean, it's like a Jasmine Crockett.
That's what I'm
we pay for her weaves, we pay for her cars, pay for her insurance, paid for her tires, paid for all of that shit. Now, I know you get benefits being in Congress. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she gets a pension for life now. She gets a pension for life.
Wow.
I'm just sick to death of seeing. I work hard for my money. Okay. I work hard. I have a complete 40-hour week job that I do, and it feels like I put 80 hours in. But we're out here busting our ass, the American people. We're out here barely surviving, putting food on the table. There are families, there are mothers and fathers that do without dinner to make sure their children have it. And here we have illegal immigrants. When they came in, they got money, and you've seen them in many videos saying they can't survive and live here unless they get the government assistance. But the American people, we're not America first, and it should be. We're not America first. We're America last. Yeah. Who goes to bat for the legal immigrants that are here and been here, and they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to maintain their citizenship here until they can become 100% citizen? Who goes to bat for them? You don't hear these pansy ass Democrats talking about them. You don't see them going to bat for them. No, they'll go to bat for illegal immigration, because why? They're using illegals as shells. You know how they have shell companies and they launder all this money through these shells companies? Illegals, you are slaves to the Democrats, and then you are also shells so they can use you to pass money through you, to use you for their narrative, for all the nefarious things. They will throw you under the bus as quick as anything. They don't give two shits about you. They're not out there. They're being paid with all of this. Okay, let's watch in Minnesota, ICE agents. Pray for our ICE agents. You guys are doing an awesome job, phenomenal job. Keep doing it. But these people are stupid. These people are idiots.
Hey, get back. You guys need to stay back. You can record, but you gotta be back.
Come on, open the fucking door.
I need you to back up a little bit more. Hey, get back.
Hey, get the fuck back.
Back. Hey, no, don't get on the road. Stay back over here. Okay. You guys can take pictures, you just need to stay back.
All right.
I see the creds. You're good.
Checking for ID. That's fine. I see you. I recognize you. Push the creds down. You're fine. If you got creds, pull them out. I got you.
Thank you.
Legitimate, please. We're afraid of you. Okay.
Pull your ID out. Show if you're here as a natural born citizen. If you've got papers, I mean, I had a video I posted it a few places, and it was an actual legal immigrant. He's been pulled over twice. He says he didn't have a problem showing his papers because he come to America for opportunity and a chance, and he knows it doesn't. People are like, well, it takes too long to become a citizen. It takes too long to become legal. If I went to your country, their borders. If I went to your country, there is immigration laws. Okay? So why does the USA have to be free to where we have no rules, we have no borders, we have nothing? Because they want to completely implode the economy, the United States. Clower and Piven, research that. That is what they want to do to us. You know what I'm talking about, Seth. They want to completely bankrupt us. And Trump is doing everything he can to fix the United States. We didn't get here overnight. And everybody's like, well, this ain't been doing. Well, you know what, Democrats? When your old Sleepy Joe was in office, he caused all of this. We're cleaning up. Do you get that? And they purposely set it up that way. So we'd spend more time having to clean their shit up as opposed to being able to build America back and make it great again at this point.
It makes you wonder, what's the ultimate plan for that?
It also goes to the fact, like, everyone complaining over the job that Trump is doing right now, whether it be the one or two people who voted for him who clearly did not look into his stance on things or have an unreasonable viewpoint of how fast things get done, or it's Democrats complaining. First off, if you voted for Trump and you've got a problem with it, I'd love to see anybody who voted for him do better, because the reality of it is he has spent the last year, has passed major legislation, has been winning on foreign policy, has been dealing with immigration while reversing and fixing the mess of the last administration, on top of dealing with his whole ridiculous bullshit that involved Epstein. He has had his hands full, and he is only a year in. The reality of it is we are not going to get to see a lot of things that he promised done until either right around the middle of his term or right near the end of it. It's always been that way, and I don't understand why people are acting any differently. Like, I understand everyone's like, you know what? The last 4 years were hell. We want this to be different. But you have got to let the man do his job and give him more than a year to do it, because it's not easy to get all that done.
Well, look what he's done in a year. I feel like we've already been, I think I've aged 10 years just in the Biden administration. Seriously.
Yes.
I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it.
I don't either. We got to, like we were talking earlier, Maddie, we got to pray for him, because, he's constantly, he's going out and he's fixing to go out and start rallying, for midterms in different states. He was in Iowa not too long ago. And, I know he believes in God. I know God placed him in that position. He is a vessel doing the work that God wants done. That is for sure. And
I thank God that he got put in place, because if he had not, I can't even imagine what our country would be.
Well, people need to start thinking, okay, midterms is coming up. Democrats get in there. We're screwed. We're screwed. And if a Democrat ever gets back in office, look what they did in 4 years, guys. And I mean, I've made some good friends as Democrats, but they're delusional.
We've got Michelle Obama over here talking about don't buy anything from white people.
Yeah.
How would you feel if a white person went on and said, well, I'm not buying anything from a black person? I mean, what does race have to do anything?
Well, they have to do that. It's money, and they have to keep division, because it's taught. Racism is taught.
I can't stand her.
I think, another thing that Republicans and a lot of people on here who are Republicans who are probably watching this are being like, oh, well, he's criticizing the hell out of Republicans and not Democrats. Well, yeah, that's because I've criticized Democrats now for the last 10 or 11 years I've been in public politics. The reality is I'm not a Democrat, and I'm gonna criticize Republicans on things I think they need to do better, because you don't see parties doing better without getting criticism. And the thing that a lot of people, especially, not just people in Congress, but voters in general in the Republican Party need to stop doing is having this overwhelming sense of arrogance because we won in 24 going, oh, I don't think there will ever be another Democratic president again. They're done. It is what it is. Because that right there was how they viewed us in 2020 after, what had happened. That's the image they portrayed, was that we were done, that there was no way that Trump would ever get back in the White House. And look what happened. It cost them everything. And I don't aim to follow them down that path. There is always a way for a political party to rebound. If we have learned nothing like that in the last 160 years that both of these parties have been the two major parties, then okay, because they've rebounded from plenty of shit that would have stopped a lesser party. So I'm just saying that they're never going to get back in power is a great way to ensure that in the very near future we lose everything, because we have gotten way too arrogant and way too complacent, when in reality we should be treating every election like 2024, and we should be voting like our asses depend on it.
I agree. Absolutely. And we've got to do that, because that's what you were talking about, Maddie. We usually have this video, but I messed my whole system up before I came on and ended up erasing my intros, my exits, everything. And we had the nice one where everyone had prayed over him. Charlie Kirk had went in and had the pastors pray over him. We need to continuously pray for our country, pray for our government, in general, because we're in some rough times. I never thought I would see this. I mean, it's a beautiful time to be alive because we're seeing some great things take place, some historical things take place. But it's a very disheartening time. And from a biblical standpoint, there is some major shifts taking place. Some things are being revealed, and God is revealing them. If you're seeing it and you're paying attention, you'll see it yourself. But Trump was put there for a reason. And, he was talking about Melania today. I love how he just talks about her, in such love and grace. And I remember years ago when they got married, I was young and I always thought she was just so beautiful. And then they had Barron. But today he had talked about her. He called her a movie star.
Movie star. Melania Trump, Foster Youth to Independence Initiative. So she really loves the children, and she's had a tremendous success. So it's the #1 documentary in 19 years. Can you believe this? What do I get out of it? I get nothing out of it. Now I had a top model, now I have a top movie star. But we have a great first lady. She loves children, and she had a tremendous vote on this. And I want to just say, Melania Trump, Foster Youth to Independence.
I love it. I love how he talks about her, how they look at each other. I just think it's beautiful. And it's wholesome with morals, structure, values,
Right.
Yes, my Christian beliefs align, mine align with it. And so today, actually, a bunch of doctors came out and they stated that young adults and young children should not have gender reassignment surgery. Mm-hmm. Should not be put on hormones. And that's the first time anyone has really came out and talked about it, So maybe everything's shifting at this point, maybe we're shifting to where we've got common freaking sense coming back,
Yeah.
Common sense. But in the last year, go ahead.
Yeah, it is. And so, and the transgender thing, and just there have been two topics that I've seen come up a lot over the last couple of days, and that has been, especially on debate panels, it has been transgenderism and abortion. And I had sat in a live just the other night, and I had stated, because they had brought God into it at first, and it was a woman who proclaimed to be a Christian, and then said, "Oh, I'm not a Christian, and I don't believe," and then tried to cite the Bible at us as a way to justify abortion, for example. And I said, so first off, I'm not a saint by any means. I don't wear a white hat. I sin with every second breath, and I know for a fact that if God was not as gracious as he is, my ass would be in hell right now. But thankfully, he is a way better being than I could ever dream to be, because clearly, he believes that maybe in the end that we're all worth something here. But I had told her, I said, so if you're going to try and cite the Bible at us, I said, maybe you should cite it correctly, because it states you would be better off tying a millstone to your neck and throwing yourself into the ocean than harming a child. And I said, it states that in the Bible. So if you're going to sit here and try and argue the abortion argument through the Bible, you're going to lose that argument, because it specifically states in the Bible you would be better to kill yourself than to harm a kid. So
abortion should be banned. It should be banned.
Yeah.
I don't believe in a national ban, because that gives the federal government way too much power. But
No, I'm sorry. It's
we should
murder.
be stressing. I believe we should be stressing to people more and more and more that this is wrong, and there is going to be serious consequences in the afterlife for you for killing an unborn child. Whether you
Well, people
believe
use
it
it
is
as
or not,
birth
it's
control.
going to.
There's a chick on TikTok. Look her up. Stellar Baby is her name. Okay, Stellar Baby. She got knocked up by a guy on there. You probably know what I'm talking about. She went and had an AB in New York. Now she's back. She got with the Fly Soldier dude, and Fly Soldier dude is in rehab now. He was court ordered to turn himself in today. But now she went on there last night, and this girl's psycho. I don't know. She's got a kid, but thank God the daddy, Owen, has custody of the kid. But she went on there last night saying, I think I'm pregnant again. She took a test, and it showed she was pregnant, and her levels are rising. So now it's another new baby. Okay. They use it as just keep your damn legs closed.
Yes. And I think it should be a state issue more than it should be a federal government issue. I believe the federal government should not have any say in something like that, because as we've seen time and time again, every time the federal government sticks its nose in something that big, they only screw it up. I believe the states handling it would be a better alternative. I
agree.
I will say, as far as the transgenderism issue goes, because she had said, can you make an argument against that without citing God? I said, well, for one, I don't have to cite God as to my argument against abortion or transgenderism. I said, because no matter what, you should know, no matter what, it is wrong to kill babies. And you should know that it is wrong to harm someone's mental health by pushing the delusion of what they think is reality onto them. Like I had cited the example. I said, telling someone who believes they're a man when they're actually a woman, you going up to them and pushing that delusion is like me walking up to a schizophrenic who they are trying to help in a mental hospital and being like, oh yeah, you see that purple elephant sitting on the chair over there? That's fantastic. Hey, Chad, that is terrible. That is me harming their mental health by pushing the delusion that they think is real. Correct. I said, I don't have to cite God to know that.
Right. But they pushed it. You got doctors. You have doctors. Josh Hawley actually recently interviewed one of these physicians, and it was a 6-minute video of him asking her what a woman is.
Yeah,
and she would not answer it. And I sat through the whole 6 minutes because I was waiting. Okay, is she going to come back and she going to say what a woman is, and that men can't have children? And she would not even say a man could have biological children. And it drove me crazy. I wanted to jump through the phone. I just was like, I actually think I threw the phone, but he got her at the end, and he's like, and these are professionals. These are doctors. These are people that went to school. What in midstream you decided to change what the truth is because you're if you don't know what a woman or a man is, our bodies are made different, okay? Our bones are made different. There are only certain medications a female can take. There are only certain things that can take place if you know your gender. You were born that way. You can cut it off. You can put this here. You can put that there. You can tuck it there and tuck it here. But at the end of the day, you're still the male. You're still a female. At the end of the day, you can cover up whatever. And I'm not trying to be mean. It's just, it's aggravating because we have to teach our children in the future generations is what's important. Because I'll be gone. You'll be gone. Our kids will be left. We have to teach our children to teach their children to teach our grandchildren the right things. That's what they bet on.
And as you're growing up, you go from like tomboy to girly to, you know, womanhood and stuff like that. And, you know, so to change their gender when they're young like that, you're talking about messing somebody up. And what they're trying to do is destroy the people within.
Well, it's evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's evil.
Yes.
That's all. You have good and evil. You have good and evil. We're in a spiritual warfare, guys. This is what we are. This is spiritual warfare. Okay, this is what we're dealing with. Prayer will help fight this. Have your armor of God on first and foremost to fight evil.
Of Christians, you know, that's in the Bible.
Yeah.
So,
yes, and it does state in the Bible, and I believe the Bible verse says, "A man shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a woman, and a woman shall not wear anything that pertaineth unto a man, because any who do are an abomination in the eyes of the Lord thy God." So it does say in the Bible you are not supposed to do that. That specifically targets cross-dressing and pretending to be a man, or a man pretending to be a woman. It specifically states that.
But see, you got to think, we're sinners. We're all sinners, saved by Heavenly Father. Okay, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. John 3:16. It's that simple. But you got people that don't even believe in God. You got atheists. They don't and they just don't believe in it. And if you don't raise your child up right, if you don't put these if you don't teach them this, they're going to be so lost. They are going to be so lost.
In the school system nowadays.
No, homeschool your kid if possible. You yank that kid out of school and you homeschool that child, because they are going to be. You're going to lose them. And I'm not saying you're going to lose them as far as DCS coming in, you know, and this and that. I'm saying you're going to lose them as being what God gave you, a gift. A child is a gift.
That's right.
Is a gift.
Well, and I will say, you know, I've had my issues with God in the past. At one point, when my grandmother passed away in 2018, I had a very bad relationship with God at that point, to the point I started believing that maybe he wasn't even there at that point. I went from thinking that I was being punished to he wasn't even there, to back to I'm being punished for something that I didn't even know what I was being punished for. And then I thought about it, and the more and more I thought about it wasn't God that did it. It was just her time to go. And it did take me a long time to come to grips with that. But thankfully, the more time I spent around my great-grandmother after that, who was a very big Christian, you know, we sat down, we had a talk, because she was grieving because it was her daughter and everything. And we sat down and we talked about it and everything at that point. And, you know, she had told me, she said, I know that you're struggling right now, and I know you're, you know, struggling to understand why this has happened, but you can't blame God for it, because it's not God's fault. She said it was just, you know, Gay's time to go. So,
yes,
you know,
and everything.
Yeah, I struggled with it, and it was difficult, and I understand why people struggle, you know, at times with their faith. But thankfully, I was lucky, and I had a lot of good people around me, and I started going to church more after that. than I was, and it helped me to understand things better. I don't blame God for what happened anymore, and I know for a fact that there is a God now. Um, I understand people struggling with it, but again, I'm no saint by any means, but uh, I've also come to understand that no sin is worse than another, no matter how we may view it. Um, that no sin is greater than the other in God's eyes, no matter how people in general view it. Um, but I've learned to try and be forgiving of things, even though I may not possess the capacity to. And I've also tried to understand things more. And I have improved my relationship with God a lot more than I did at that point. And I think that's something that a lot of people my age need now, because it definitely made my life better, even though I don't always act as though I have the best relationship with God.
Well, that's
Well,
just like
we're not
Trump being in the
perfect.
White House. I mean, he has to do some things here and has to do some things there. We don't understand the reasoning behind it, but there's a reason for it. So there's a lesson learned. That could have been the reason that he wanted you to come to the Lord. I don't know. Who knows? It could have been that she was tired and she wanted to go be with the Lord, you know. I know that I would rather be with the Lord than on earth, but you know.
Well, I know based on her interaction with me and her last moments the night before she passed that, I did not know her relationship with God beforehand, but I am almost positive now that she, even though I may not have known it, I believe she made her peace with God. I believe that she talked to God in her final moments. I do believe that, she had her own personal experience with God in those final moments. And I do think, based on the talking that she was doing the night before she passed, that she had made it, she had made peace with it, that she knew where she was going, even though she didn't know that she was saying it or didn't know that she was talking out loud at the time. I think she knew, and I think she was at peace with it. And it was a struggle for me because I did not have that spiritual, uh, you know, relationship with God as strong as I should have at that point. Because again, I was watching someone who was my best friend in the world, pass away right in front of me. I thought I was being punished for something, and I thought God may have been even not real at that point. And then the more and more I thought about it, I was like, well, that's just not how it is. I did spend a lot of time being mad at God after that until finally I figured out that it was her time to go, and it wasn't him punishing me. It was just time for her to leave.
Right. And when God calls us home, He knows the moment we're born when we're going to be going home to Him. He knows that. What's a miracle? I mean, when I say a miracle, what is a miracle? I've got a miracle I'll tell you about. But what is one miracle that you have had happen in your life?
For me, I have to say the miracle for me was, and this is going to sound basic as I'll get out, but the miracle for me was that I got to do. So I can cite two that I've had. One, I realized early on how, even though my family may tick me off more than anything in the world, how lucky I am to have the family that I have. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't have my brothers, I wouldn't have my parents, I wouldn't have my grandmothers that I've been lucky enough to have, because I'm a firm believer I have the best grandparents and stuff like that in the world. And I also think it was, for me, the fact that I got to do everything that I wanted when it came to, it was a dream of mine to go into politics. I never thought I would get to do it. And, I was lucky at a very young age to be able to do that, which gave me a lot of purpose, especially after the loss of my grandmother. So I think those were two miracles that I can cite.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Maddie, do you want to say miracle in your life? If you want to.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with breast cancer in the nick of time.
Amen.
Uh, that was back in 2016. My dog kept sniffing my breast area, and so something in my head told me something wasn't right with that, and I did not know that dogs could sniff out cancer.
I've heard they can. I have heard that.
So when I had my surgery, they said it was a miracle that I came in and had this done. I had to have a double mastectomy. That I had HERS-2, breast cancer, and my eldest sister ended up with HERS-2 breast cancer as well, and she only got a 28-day notice, and she was gone.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Sorry to hear that. I'm grateful and thankful you're here, though. And you're a miracle.
Yeah. So
that is another thing I can say that I was lucky in, and one thing I would cite as a miracle for me. I have 4 brothers. Sadly, I don't have the relationship with all of them that I would like. But due to relationships with my biological father, I don't get to see them much. I love them all to death, but I did not get to be around them that much, and I'm the oldest out of all of them, so I'd missed a lot of their life. But when I was younger, I absolutely was so lonely it wasn't even funny. I begged God to let me have a sibling that I could actually be around, and about the time I was 8, my one of my younger brothers, Ian, came along, and that's the closest I believe I'll ever experience to getting to know what it's like to have a kid. But and that's, to be honest, I'm content with that. But that was probably the biggest miracle for me, because even though I could kick that kid's hind end every day of the week at one point or another, I am incredibly lucky for that, because God really did answer my prayer on that one, because it did stop me from feeling lonely, and I ended up getting what I had always wanted. So I can say that that's a big miracle for me, is the birth of my brother Ian.
Oh, that's beautiful. I've had a few, actual miracles. When God shows up, he shows up. And I have 3 children, and my oldest daughter, I think she's 33 now. Well, in 2009, I believe it was 9 or 10, her dad passed away. And he was married to a horrible individual, a horrible woman. And at the funeral, since she was married to him, she had the rights over his body. Okay. And so she told my daughter, well, I'll have the ashes, because he was cremated. And my daughter, of course, is like, no, I want my daddy to be whole. And so we left. And this entire time, she forfeited the ashes to her, because she would much rather her father be whole. Well, she had, through the years, told us that she had took his out, and she was a redneck. I'm from the South, so we play hard out here. And so at this time, she said that she took his ashes and she dumped it with a bottle of alcohol into a creek. Okay, so all this time, this is what we thought had took place, right? So probably about 7 years ago. Now, okay, he died. So 10 years, let's just put this way, 10 years passed, okay, from the time he had died. And this is a miracle. She gets a phone call from the funeral home. And the funeral home says, Miss So-and-so, are you so-and-so? And she's like, yes. She's like, well, we're trying to find, they said the lady's name, the wife. And she said, oh, I haven't seen her in years, since Daddy died 10 years ago. And they said, well, we have your father's ashes up here, and they've been here for 10 years.
Oh.
I just got chills. And my daughter didn't drive. She was terrified. She still is to drive on the interstate. I'll tell you, that was the one time she drove on that interstate. And she got there. She got her daddy's ashes. So God answers prayers. He knew that child wanted her daddy whole. And her mother, her grandmother, his mother, the sisters, brothers, they all was able to give him a proper burial.
Oh.
And so it I always resonate and think back to that. No matter how hard things are going, God is listening. He may not answer your prayer at that moment, at that specific moment. Because if he answered it, there's more work to be done. There's something he's needing from you. And you just have to listen. He may not answer it at that specific moment, but he will answer it eventually, and you'll understand why he answered it when he did. Because sometimes when we, unanswered prayers, you think you're thankful for unanswered prayers sometimes, that we are. But if you're struggling or going through something, I pray for you. I pray peace over you. In any affliction, I rebuke it in Jesus' name, that it to be removed. They have no authority. You have authority. You can take that authority and you can rebuke it. Just always remember that. Okay. I guess we needed to talk about that tonight, but that's what we did. I have a comical video. This will be our final video tonight. When I saw this, I have laughed so hard with this. So ICE agents, they have a difficult time, Oh, no. I have this one. Wait a minute. We'll play it too. I wanted to actually talk about this too. Sorry guys, I'm all over the place. It's quite interesting. Let me pull it up. Well, I don't have it here. Watch this. This is what ICE agents decided that they were going to do when they were being followed and chased. And then they were able to make arrest.
Around the rosy, a pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Ring around the rosy, a pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down.
Oh, I loved it. They were able to go make their arrest and and everything. But they did find another bio lab. I don't know if this one was Chinese or not, but they did find another bio lab. I didn't get to load everything that I needed to. But they do say that it is in conjunction with, remember the other one they found in California not too long ago? Well, a couple years ago. Yeah. 3,000 pathogens, Ebola and other stuff.
Wow.
Sure it is. Yeah. So it's just crazy the way. That's what I was going to tell you about. I'll just say back. I
Remember
got
I
the
was
video.
telling you about,
Yeah, go ahead.
when I was telling you about earlier that I had a thought process of bioweapons.
Yep. Well, this right here is where they went in and they found 3,000 pathogens.
Wow.
They say it's connected to China. But I remember a few years back, there was one found in California in some storage units in some buildings, and they had hoses run out. And the Biden administration let these people cross our borders, and I guarantee you, this isn't the only one. There's many. They hate America. They solely come to America to destroy it. Truthfully. That's what they've come to. But this right here, 3,000 pathogens. Can you believe that? Ebola, some other stuff. I know Ebola was one of the big ones that was in there, and other stuff.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Well, I just heard that all the truckers were sitting at the border, not crossing into California because California said they were going to have to pay a $5,000 fine for not having their diesel engine converted to something.
It doesn't surprise me. That's just like in Canada. You know, they only get 200, 200 miles in a whole entire year to be able to travel where it's being controlled. If they go
Well,
over
the
that,
truckers are, they're like, they're not going across the border. So California's not getting any food. They're not getting any nothing.
wow,
No goods or nothing. They said, look in your refrigerator, see how many days you got left to survive.
isn't that crazy? That's crazy. Well, guys, it has been wonderful. Everyone on X, on Rumble, on Facebook. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. Really appreciate it. It was good times, good talks. And we just try to bring the truth to you. We try to bring, some thoughts, and it does well for us to sit and talk about things. On this podcast, it doesn't matter what side you're on. If you ever want to come on it and you're liberal, hey, come on up. Just DM me. But I thank you so much, Maddie. I love you. And Seth, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And with that, we'll see you guys.
No problem.
Soon. I really appreciate it.
By the way, country, before you go, I did want to ask you, and I wanted to know how many other people would be interested. I have thought about letting people watch our first Young Republicans meeting who don't live here in the county. Maybe streaming it to Facebook or to TikTok or doing whatever. And I just wanted to know what you all thought of that, and maybe if you all would be interested in me doing that and you all watching.
Sure.
Or anything like that.
Well, we need to reach the younger generation. When Charlie Kirk was taken out and murdered, they knew what they were doing. They took out a huge voice. They took out a warrior that was for God too. And now we're the foot soldiers, and now we've got to speak up. And, Seth, you're doing an awesome job, and I appreciate you doing that because you're going to be the future to my grandkids.
Right.
And you're leading.
I do what I can with what I've got, and not everybody may like the way I do it, but the reality is I don't do anything for no reason. So I'm going to keep doing this until I'm too old to do it in the Young Republican group anymore, and then I'm going to continue to do it in the GOP itself, because the truth of it is, and I know this is going to piss off a lot of older people here, but it is long past time that there was a younger group of Republicans making decisions for the party, because we are never going to move forward and get new ideas if we have 80-year-olds running it forever.
Exactly.
I can't
I don't mean that as a shot, but I don't mean that as a shot, but it is the truth. And I think a lot of people can acknowledge that it's time to let the younger generation step forward and have their say and start bringing a new generation of conservatives forward. Because if we don't, and me and my GOP chairman have talked about this before, if we don't, there's going to be no one to carry the mantle forward eventually. And then the entire thing is just going to be for nothing.
Well, we need to understand it's we the people, not we the White House.
Yes.
And we say we run this, you don't, but they act like they run it because we don't voice. There are those that do voice it. It would, in order to fix America, it's horrible the way certain things are, but it's getting better. But I feel like Trump's constantly having pushback in every direction that he's going. When he tries to make a huge move, you've got these rogue judges that are constantly blocking him. And if we don't win the midterms, okay, people are like, we'll get rid of them. Look, in a way, it wouldn't do any good to arrest anybody right now, because these rogue judges would just overturn it.
Right.
Throw it out, not allow it. So let's win the midterms, people. Let's win the midterms, and then let's make accountability happen at that point. It's that simple. Let's get control.
unless you want a repeat of what happened in New York, you had better pray that Republicans win the midterms, because here's the thing. I'm not one of these doomsday people, and I'm not one of these people who are like, oh, every election we have is the most important one. But the party that controls Congress for the next 2 years is going to directly shape what happens in the 2028 election. And unless you want a socialist in there, or unless you want this government to be controlled by socialists, you better get out and vote, or else if you don't vote, you have no say. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care who I piss off with that. You have no say if you don't vote.
It's okay. That's what we do here.
I hate saying that because I know it's going to make me sound heartless and mean. But to be honest, if you don't vote, I could give a rat's furry ass about your opinion.
Exactly.
Get out and vote. Poll watchers, be a poll watcher. Make sure our elections are secure and fair. There's many things that just a citizen can do. Many things.
Yeah,
Poll
if
watching.
you see anything nefarious going on, you should report it.
Absolutely.
Yep, and that is something the RNC is really pushing towards, because that's what we did in 24. It's what we did in 22. Is we want poll watchers there. We are going to have poll watchers in every voting precinct in the country. We are going to have people on both sides checking the ballots to make sure there's no funny business. We will have independents checking them. We are going to have representatives from everybody making sure that things are going the way they should, because that is what we did in 24, and it's what we did in 22, and it's why things have gotten progressively better.
And showing your ID is not racist. It's got nothing to do with race. Do they think it's a race thing when they go to the liquor store and they have to show their ID? That a race thing too? Or
you're driving a car.
Yeah.
Or you know, you can be legally enough to go into the military, you know.
I mean, for my ID for anything, I don't care. I'll give it to you.
Right. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't.
I have ADHD. Can I say if they make me show my ID, they're being ableist? I mean, because they don't think I won't.
Yeah.
Well, let's just hope that federal judge blocked Trump's and the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got to save America. We do have to save America. But guys, thank you so much. God bless you, and everyone have a safe week. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Pray for your country. Pray for your government. Pray for President Trump. And get out there and vote. It's very important. Country Crazy out.